play poorly, or if I make mistakes in any capacity of life, not just footy, then there goes the love of other people, the affection of other people. Yeah, in the past when I've shared my story, I've never really shared this part publicly for reasons that you probably just sort of alluded to in regards to, triggering other. I remember, like, I can still remember the picture of me sitting on the back of a night stall heater, looking at him over in the lounge, like later on that day, going like, are you going to talk to me? Like, from other people, like, oh, he just wants to be the best version of himself. And I could even verbalize that and say that was the motivation, but it wasn't. Yeah. It was running away from mistakes so that people would love, so that I would still be loved.
Hey, well, thank you, Jono, for jumping on
Thanks
to the
me,
pod
man.
today, bro. I'm fizzing for today's conversation. We've had a lot of sit downs, and just talking life, broad spectrum. You've had a bit of a life, and like you've had life happen to you, and you've done well in life as well. You've performed at high stand on stages. You sporting, that kind of thing. You're still married. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yo, hey, as of today,
we're still there.
That's it.
But yeah, you've also had a lot of life happen to you. If people were to Google you, they see one aspect. Right. If people hear about you,
sure,
they see one aspect.
Sure.
But not many people know you.
Okay.
All right. So I would love to, let's give a quick origin, bro, of you, how you got here today, what's the journey looks like a little bit, and then we'll jump into the journey and be like, let's explore a little bit around the pain, what you had to overcome, what's been some triggers, all that kind of stuff.
No, cool.
Yeah, sure.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me, firstly, and like you say, it's been cool to connect over the last probably couple of years, Yeah. And have some conversations that's led to this point. So, yeah, stoked to be here. My story, I guess, born in Christchurch, and lived out on the east side for a large portion of my life. In fact, the same house in Avondale, next to Porritt Park, for anyone that's sort of familiar.
Shout out, hey.
Shout out Porritt Park. Yeah, not sure about that, but sure. For 19 years until the earthquakes.
True.
Basically ended up red zoning our house, and that was my first move into Shirley, which my parents are still there now. I live out in Bellwood, but east side's been sort of my side of town for the predominant length of my life until I moved out of Christchurch. So Avondale Primary, Chisnallwood Intermediate, and Shirley Boys. I don't know why Christchurch people always go to schools, but I just did that. I'll just continue that stereotype, I guess. But
you own it. You
that's it. Shirley Boys. That was the high school I went to. After high school, had a bit of a gap year. Worked at a cafe in town called C1.
Oh, yes.
And again,
I remember you working there, bro.
There you go.
I remember you working there.
And this was obviously pre-Quake. Like, this is the year.
Yes, that was when C1 was on, bro.
Correct. Yeah, it was
$3.50 coffees.
That's it. And they had two sides, Poplar Lane, High Street. High Street, the bigger side, Poplar Lane, sort of a little bit more boutique, if you want to call it that, I guess. And yeah, I chose to do that because I was like unsure of what I actually wanted to do study wise. Knew I was loving rugby and wanting to sort of pursue that a little bit. So just thought I won't jump into university straight away. I'll try and figure it out for another year outside of school in the real world, I guess, if C1's the real world. Yeah. And then that was the year of the quake, the September. Man, it's a long time ago now, but September quake first, and then obviously the following year, 2011, was February one that sort of ended up red zoning the house. But yeah, that's the origin story, I guess.
Yes.
Grew up on that side of town, and I got older brother, younger brother, and then a younger sister.
Yep.
So both parents still alive.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, bro. So and then post quakes, you said you wanted to pursue footy.
Yep.
Yeah. What that look like?
Yeah, I mean, like, I love rugby pretty much from, I think I started playing it when I was 7 years old. Like, loved it. Something that I always identified myself in, I guess. But equally at school, I was pretty passionate about making sure that I had good grades and was preparing myself for university, etc. as well. Like I wasn't necessarily just going, it's rugby or nothing else. Thank goodness, because that's a pretty hard place to put yourself into, and if you're putting all your eggs
a lot
in
of
that
people
basket.
do though.
They do, and I guess even now, even when you're in it, if you do are lucky enough to end up in professional rugby, they're still trying to make sure that you don't do that while you're there, because of the repercussions that it can have after you retire, or even while you're in it actually now as well. But that was me. So I was still kind of giving myself pretty hard to my academics. And just wasn't real sure about what I would do if I didn't go down the rugby direction, I guess. And
we're still figuring it out.
There's a little bit of a thought around I'd love to sort of work for a church one day. I grew up in faith, and again, that wasn't necessarily a road that you could go down really academically, obviously, at high school.
100%.
So that's probably why I was a bit cloudy in regards to exactly what I wanted to do university wise.
Gotcha.
And so that's what led to the year out of school where I was still trying to figure that out. And luckily in that space of time, rugby started to develop a little bit better, I guess, the first couple of years out of school. It sort of started to formulate a better picture for me in regards to where I was headed in that direction. And at the same time, the second year out of school, I decided to go to a sports coaching degree at university to kind of combine a couple of my passions. So it was nutrition papers that would help me with my own rugby. What else? Sports psych papers that would help me with rugby individually, like for myself. But then also I really enjoyed like getting to know people, building relationships. And so this side of coaching that sort of, I guess, it would hold enough of my interest in that regard as well. It combined those two passions, and it was enough for me to go, I'll give myself 3 years at it and see where I end up. And at least that way I can show that I put my head down for 3 years.
You went all in, right?
And I was really fortunate that at the end of that 3 years, literally, I think 2 days after or a few days after I graduated, I got my first contract. And
epic!
That was
who was that with?
That was actually an injury cover contract with the Chiefs.
Oh wow!
So I've been in the Canterbury Academy, it was what it was called back then, for a couple of years. And actually missed out, like really actually had a really poor year that year that I ended up with the contract up until rep footy. So I missed out on the opportunity here in Christchurch. I just wasn't good enough, and it's probably going to relate to a lot more of the conversation we have later on around where I was at in my own headspace. But the opportunity still came, luckily, through a different region, and it was a injury cover contract with the Chiefs and a NPC contract with the Bay of Plenty for 2 years.
Yeah, cool.
So it was a journey of relocation as well, and first time out of Christchurch, living by myself, etc. Or sorry, living away from home, should I say, for the first time, and it started a bit of a journey for about 10 or so years where I wasn't really living in Christchurch, and
travel.
Pursuing footy across the globe, actually, like New Zealand and a little bit overseas in the UK as well.
Epic. Epic, bro.
Yeah.
And so, when did footy slow down?
When did footy slow down? I basically 2021 came back home from the UK. My wife and I came back home. It had been a pretty tough time in lockdown over in the UK. It hadn't necessarily gone great with the team that I was playing for either, and although I still wanted to keep playing, I felt like it was best decision we felt like, should I say, we made it together. The best decision for us was to probably come home back to New Zealand, and fortunately Canterbury came on board for contract, so came back and played for Canterbury midway through, or sort of just over midway through the season. I tore my cartilage in my knee for a third time. And shouldn't have really played for the rest of the season. Like, I was blown out, I couldn't really walk, etc. But I could limp for the to training and stuff like that for the first week. But there was a circumstantial sort of reason why, if I could play, they really wanted me to play. There was just other injuries in the position, and so I basically found ways to get out on the field and play, and but that also kind of spelt the end, because it was essentially like finding ways to numb the pain and other aspects in regards to injections on my knee and stuff like that. That meant that it probably wasn't going to hold up for much longer, and it was not necessarily doing anything good to my knee by going and playing on it while it was torn. So the writing was on the wall, and doing it for a third time when I'd already had surgery on my other knee as well. So I'd already had surgery on both of them. It was like, oh, if I want a life outside of rugby, this is probably the time to actually call it. And it's sort of full circle moment anyway, coming back to Canterbury where I started and actually had never played for them to play there. It was a huge honour for me, a highlight of my career for sure, to be able to play for the team that I always looked up to, and wanted to play for as a kid. And so it wasn't necessarily a sour note to have to finish there. And so that was 2021.
Yeah, okay.
Finished up.
Yeah. And then we fast forward, right? So you came and did the Neurofit cohort program last year.
Yep.
I think last year.
Yeah, early last year.
Early last year. So it's 2024. What sparked that?
What sparked that? Well, there's a bit of a journey, right?
Okay, here we go.
So like there's a fair bit out there in regards to what I've shared and parts of my story. So
yes,
growing up as a kid, probably 10, 11, 12, 13, playing rugby, my dad going through his own stuff, I guess. In hindsight now I can see that we've talked it out a lot. I'm in a really good space, but at the time I'll be playing rugby, and if I was making a mistake or for whatever reason was going on in him, it was triggering something in him, he would react in ways that weren't appropriate. And so it would look like at times he'd come on the field, say if I don't start making tackles, which, I mean, in fairness, I didn't make many tackles throughout my entire career. So maybe it's fair. Well, it's not fair, but not as an 11-year-old, 12-year-old. But it's not something that was ever my strength anyway. It was something that, he would come on the field. Look, if you don't start making tackles, I'm going to pull you off the field while the game's going in front of my friends, obviously, at the time, and their parents, etc. If I had bad games at times, I can remember these pretty vividly, right? Like that, even the moments now, I could tell you exactly where they happened and what field we were playing, what team we were playing against, and because it was pretty defining in my life. I remember getting in the car and him just saying, "How do you think you played today?" And I was like, "Oh, not too great." And then he said, "Yeah, you played." I was like, oh, okay.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, thank you. I'll take that on board. And then that day, I remember particularly like just looking at him for some sense of validation of like, but I still love you. Like, you're my son. And it didn't happen. He didn't actually speak to me until Sunday.
Whoa,
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah. And you just went through that real fast.
So
let me get this picture right. So you have a game where you feel like you played average.
Yep.
Hop in the car.
Yep.
Dad then says, yes, you played trash.
Yeah.
All right. Then you see he doesn't speak to you.
Yeah.
So I'm getting my head around this.
Yeah, it's all good.
This is full on.
Yeah.
Right. So you're 11.
12, so I
13,
think I was playing under 13. So again,
12,
I can tell you, I was playing for Shirley Rugby Club that year. It was at Build Park on the other side. I can remember what car we got in and where we drove to what street. Like, I remember it because it was pretty like I was feeling really vulnerably exposed and insecure and all the rest of it. And then I remember, like I can still remember the picture of me sitting on the back of a night stall heater, looking at him over in the lounge, like later on that day, going like, "Are you going to talk to me?" Just not. And then Sunday came around and it was all good. So that obviously happened, and that happened on a few occasions. Like, it happened quite regularly enough for my brother, for it to happen to himself, and my older brother, that he just stopped playing footy. He was like, stuff out, I don't need this. So at 16 he stopped, and but my dad's a legend. Yeah. Like, and we'll get to that, I'm sure, later on. He doesn't deny any of this. So like, and he's apologized for all of it and said like, "Oh, mate, here's actually what's going on." He's explained some of it. So
okay.
Not to explain it away as if it diminished it. He's like, "Nah, it's not good enough. I'm so sorry that I ever made you feel that way, but here's what was going on in my head the time I wasn't speaking to you." For example, he's like, "My dad used to just speak to me nonstop when I made mistakes or when I had a bad day." And
so he was trying to
he was like trying to go the other direction and go like, I'm not going to give it. So it wasn't as simple as him just going, I'm disappointed in my son, I don't want to talk to him.
He's trying to protect you from what could actually come out.
100% from himself in some sense, I guess. But the irony of all that is that I didn't understand that that's what was going on in his head or his heart. And so I'm just sitting there going, my dad's not speaking to me after I've missed a couple of tackles in a game where I'm 12 years old, you know, like, and so the internalization of that was still as real as if it was
100%
what was going on in his head.
If I perform better, I will then be loved.
Correct.
Bro.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. One, I can understand why you say dad's a legend, because it takes a lot to
100%.
admit.
Yep.
Right. But it doesn't mean it takes away from the pain that you.
Nah. It caused a fair bit, you know, like that period of time. And like I said, there were lots of moments in a time where dad just hadn't had the capacity to deal with it for whatever reason, and there were reasons. And therefore it was having an effect on me over and over again, where, like you probably just alluded to, I started to internalize it in ways of like, oh, my worth is based on my performance, right? Like if I'm good, then I can feel good about myself, and others will feel good about me and love me and talk to me and want to be around me. But if I play poorly, or if I make mistakes in any capacity of life, not just footy, then there goes the love of other people, the affection of other people. There goes my own sense of self-worth, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's a pretty horrible thought pattern to start to go down and agree with.
100%.
It had a pretty massive effect on where I ended up by the time I was 18, 19.
Yeah, so let's talk about, so, I mean, this is what, between 11 and 13, right? So there's those, and that's crucial years.
Yep.
Right? And comes this concept of, I'm loved if I can please other people and make sure that I meet their expectation, then I'm going to be loved.
Yep.
How does that affect you from there? From then on, what does life start to look like?
Like those were the some of the more clear memories I had of what took place. Obviously, it continued on probably to a certain capacity till I was a little bit later on, and he kind of stood back now as not my coach. He was just my dad, right? So probably when I was 18, 19, he started to pull back a little bit more. But what had happened through that period of time was, so my brother's reaction to it was like, I'm sure of myself, I don't need rugby. If these interactions are going to keep happening through rugby, then just stuff it, I just won't play, right? For me, it was like, I need the validation of dad, and I want to keep playing rugby, so I'm going to prove you wrong by being perfect. I'm going to learn how to be perfect, which obviously, as we sit here now, we know that what a foolish thing to think. But when you're a kid that age, you don't, it's not all happening consciously, right? It's subconscious sort of decisions that you're making.
Yes.
You're not thinking about validation or where that's coming from or anything like that.
You don't even know the word validation.
No, that's correct. Yeah, 100%.
So it feels good.
I think I learned that word about 2 years ago. But, you know,
that's too good.
Yeah, but in those moments, you just suddenly start to decide, like, the way out of this is just don't make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And so I found, I mean, how do I put it? I basically found a whip for myself in terms of, like, metaphorically, like, just be better in every moment, just work harder. Just, I remember as a 17, 18-year-old playing Xbox or whatever, going, you could be out training right now. This isn't good enough. Playing for an hour, like, you could be out training. You could be out studying, blah, blah, blah. And so I just pushed myself to the limits. To try, because I wasn't very talented. Even right through the end of my career, I wasn't really overly talented. I wasn't very athletic. I'm still not. It's not like it's got better since I'm retired.
I feel like your version of athletic and mine is two different things.
I mean, comparatively, I guess, to those that I was surrounded by, I can put myself in the general population and say I wasn't necessarily bang in the middle. I might have been slightly the more athletic side, but I don't know.
Pretty sure when you were in the cohort, bro, and I was like, "How's your week?" Oh, you just ran a half marathon this week. I'm like, what?
Isn't everyone doing that?
No, okay, bro. Yeah, definitely not me. Definitely not me.
No, that's just a coping mechanism. Also, anyone can run. It's good for the head. We might get there later on. But yeah, I wasn't. I definitely wasn't. If you went and watched our first 15, you wouldn't go, that's the kid that is going to be a professional rugby player one day. Like I think it's fair that I'd be able to say that with a degree of honesty. It was that I was willing to work as hard as I possibly could, but it wasn't willing in the sense of, like, out of good motivation, just because I wanted to see how good I could be. It was actually because I wanted to not be bad.
Hard.
And that it can seem the same from the outside looking in, like from other people. Oh, he just wants to be the best version of himself, and I could even verbalize it and say that was the motivation, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
it was running away from mistakes so that people would love, so that I would still be loved, essentially, and still be validated, liked, all the other sort of things that go along with that. And so, it's perfectionism, right? Like that is the complex, if you want to call it that, and it's all too common in sport, if I'm honest, and that story is probably all too common as well in relationship to the parent athlete. And it's sad because in some sense it's celebrated as the only way to get the best out of your child.
It is quite old school, because I mean, I've had the opportunity to sit down with a few footy players, right? And I'd say 90 to 99% of them, the story is, oh, why don't you want to make a mistake? Right. And I'll do my digging. Oh, why do you make a mistake? Oh, because, don't want to look like a dick. Okay,
sure.
Cool. Like, why don't, if I look like a dick, like people make me feel like I don't know what I'm doing. And then I'll be like, oh, can you think of the time where you felt like you didn't know what you're doing? The same story from 90 to 90%.
Sure.
Like, oh, I remember like finishing a footy game, hopping in the car, and dad just went at me for all the things I did wrong.
Sure.
Like, and you're like, oh, that's like the common.
Yep.
Because, oh, next week I performed better. But now as an adult.
and the irony of it too is like, I did go out and work really hard. I'm not saying that comparatively I didn't work the hardest in the world. Like I could have worked harder 100%. That's not the point. But it's internally, like I went out and was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to avoid mistakes. Like I am, and that lasted for a long period of time. And it led me to some pretty dark places, because it wasn't like it was just don't make mistakes. It was anxiety attached to all of it, in terms of, it wasn't just a thought process, it was driven by emotion, and the emotion was stress and anxiety about being perfect at all times. And that led to being way like, what would I say, like just hitting the wall over and over again mentally, even through high school, of just like becoming so over encumbered with worry and stress and anxiety that there were moments where I just couldn't handle it, and would break down or whatever else. And like internally, like you wouldn't have seen it on the rugby field necessarily. But I mean, there were moments where in the first 15, for example, the pressure to perform at a level that I was so new to and required so much more of me from the grades that I played beforehand, meant that the first season that I was chucked in first 15, like there were games where I didn't even want to turn up and play, because I knew I was going to make mistakes because I was 20 kilograms playing against 120 kilograms or whatever. I was tiny and I was young, and I was probably at that time thrown in there because they just needed someone to fill that position, not because I actually probably was good enough to be there yet.
Okay.
And so that led to lots of moments of anxiety and stress, which accompanied by some other things that were going on, which we can talk about now or later. It just meant that I actually hit a full-on wall when I was 18, 19, got to a point of like a mental health breakdown, I guess, and depression, suicidal thoughts, and suicidal ideation, I guess, and in a really, really deep, dark place.
Gotcha. Okay, well, let's go to the dark place a little bit, bro, because I feel like there are a lot of people that's stuck in there. Right, that have had things happen to them, but don't see a way out. I'd say you're sitting here talking honestly, not breaking down in tears, which means you have found a way out. Of a dark place, and you are still progressing. Right. I don't think you ever reach a time in your life where you are perfect, because then well done, you should be dead now. Like, you don't feel anything. Awesome. See you later. But if you don't mind, I do want to go there. Right. So cool. You hit this wall 18, 19. Prior then, I know some things happen for you. I love to talk about that if you're okay with that.
All good.
And so there's a season of your life where sexual abuse happens. Right. I want to ask some questions, but I want you to give a context to that. And so I do apologize for anyone listening right now if you might get triggered listening to this. Hey, this place is called Triggered. So,
Yeah.
but it's a reality for a lot of people, and it's kept in the dark for a lot of people, and there's shame attached, and shame and guilt keeps you trapped.
Yeah.
Right. And so yes, I want to go there because I know that if we
course.
can go there, then it might actually give people hope. But
Yep.
I need to do something about this. When did that happen for you?
Yeah, so the major probably portion of when that took place was around ages 13, 14 to 16 ish,
Gotcha.
17.
So wait, you say it wasn't one
Nah,
it was
sadly, no.
Oh.
No, it wasn't. And yeah, in the past when I've shared my story, I've never really shared this part publicly for reasons that you've probably just sort of alluded to in regards to triggering other people, and also because it's been a more recent part of my journey of walking out of and healing that it's required a bit of safety net around to make sure that I have the space to deal with it properly. Before I publicly, I guess, acknowledge it. I have since probably spoken about it once in a more private public circle, but all good to share it now. And but yeah, it did happen for a few years, and at varied degrees. Like it wasn't not that it requires comparing, but it was moments that had, I guess, less impact, moments that had more impact. It wasn't just the same thing happening over and over again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, and it was at the hands of a guy that was sort of probably 10, 11, 12 years older than myself, and had a pretty close relationship with my family, and that was and that's sort of started taking place, like I said, in my early sort of teen years. The hard part about that as well is that it had, and it's obviously mutually exclusive to what was happening with Dad, in the sense of Dad had no idea what was going on and all the rest of it, but it had a flow-on effect from what had taken place with Dad in regards to here's a kid searching for a sense of validation, especially from male role models at a time that's really formative for a male in the right preteens into teenage years, real formative, and missing it from a place that I need it at the time, from Dad, not on purpose, not because that's what he wanted for me, but that was just the case of him, I guess, dealing with his own stuff at the time as well. And here comes a vulnerable me walking into a situation, I guess, that again, I wasn't conscious about what was actually going on internally for me, and finding a sense of validation initially from things, not looking for any form of sexual validation, obviously, but just to be seen, I guess, and to be liked, loved by people, and because of who he was, and I guess the status he held as well, I did, like, other people come up to me and be like, oh, you're close to him, and because he held position in communities that I was involved in, I had friends that were like, oh, you're like the chosen one and stuff like that. So it immediately gave me a sense of validation in that sense, and
it's like a different sense of identity as well, like a
100%.
Wow.
And the horrible part about that is that I didn't realize the price I was paying to get that at the time. I knew I was feeling uncomfortable. I knew I was feeling anxious. I knew that there was really horrible things going on. But I always felt like it must be something wrong with me. Because it was always tied into like, oh, this is what brothers do. And because he was essentially what is the right word? Like an adopted brother, right? Like a older brother. He actually had a relationship first with my older brother, and something happened there, and then my older brother sort of didn't really like him from there on in, because his same reaction to what happened with Dad. He's very confident in himself and was just like, I don't need this. It's like rugby. See you later, right? For me, it was the opposite reaction, as the same was in the rugby circle, was in this dynamic relationship, whatever you want to call it, was, oh, I need the validation, and it must be something wrong with me. So like, again, with rugby, it's, I just got to be better, right? Not Dad's wrong. I just got to be better. Not this person's wrong.
I just got to be better. It's always a me thing.
And and the sad thing about that is it was incredibly damaging, obviously, and those two moments or those two dynamics sort of had a pretty massive impact on where I ended up, right? Mentally incredibly insecure, not again necessarily at times always really clear in terms of publicly in front of other people, because I managed to hide it at times. I managed to hide my depression pretty well and things like that, but internally, and I'm sure it was obvious to lots of people who were able to witness me at my best or worst at times, that I was very insecure and that I had all sorts of issues, I'm sure, but I was working pretty hard to try and contain that as best possible, because I needed to be liked, right? I needed to be loved.
Wow.
So I worked pretty hard at without realizing it, the way I was perceived. But it led to 18, 19 being in a place where, man, I hated myself. Things were going really good, like
externally
really good that year. So 2011 is the year. So earthquakes had just happened. I'm just at uni. And then things started to spiral out of control pretty quickly. Again, mentally with where I was at internally. And
did you feel at that time, I mean, I'm looking at the things that things are going well, and that's probably like I'm performing and I'm making good choices, right? So those things are going really well for my life. At this time, you're no longer involved in that community. So there's a separation of people.
Yep.
Do you feel like
from the sexual abuse?
Yeah.
No, I was still involved. Sadly, at the time.
Wow. Okay.
What I mean by still involved is at the time I didn't even give any words to what happened to us 25 in that story and that part of it. Dad's stuff I started to deal with when I was 23, 22.
Yeah.
I signed a contract to go to the UK essentially, and I was like, I can't carry some of what I'm carrying here with the perfectionism and all of this. I needed mental health struggle and stuff. I actually need to finally go see someone to talk about it for the first time. So
and this is what, 18, 19?
That was when I was like 21, 22, probably 23, around those ages. Whenever I went to England for the first time, which was 2015. What am I now? 33. So
somewhere around there.
So early 20. Yeah. I guess I was like 23. 22. Quick math. Not very quick.
That's it.
Not very quick.
Oh, bro. So here's the question, right? So, I mean, man, there's two questions I want to ask. There's one that I want to talk about, like, cool, you find yourself in this pit.
Yep.
Self-hatred, depression, like a real dark place. But then you also find this, I want to ask, I feel like there's it's not just one event. And you kind of talked about it, but if someone else is in that space where they're like, oh man, like I am getting taken advantage of. People looking out, logically, we have answers.
Mm-hmm.
But those logical answers don't mean squat for the person in there. What did you need to hear while going through that? So that 13 to 15 era of I'm being sexually abused.
Yep.
What did you need to hear for yourself that would have actually been like, I need to actually gap?
So you're saying if I had that time again, I could almost speak to myself in those moments, what would have changed? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Like, what could I have heard then that might have changed the story or the narrative to pull me out of it? Well, it was probably as simple as a sense of validation and where it actually came from, right? And it's not as simple as that, but if we reduce it to that, it's probably something like,
you don't need that guy's validation.
Correct. Like, hey, actually, like you're just loved for who you are, not for how you perform, right? Like your sense of worth comes from who you are as a human being, innate. Like you don't earn it through performance.
Right.
It's just there because you are a human being and you're deserving of love and value just because, right? For being. And now that's a pretty deep conversation to have with a 14-year-old.
100%.
But if the right answer is probably if I experience that. So the words coming to a teenager, you're gonna hear that and be like, thanks,
cool,
thanks, person, whoever you are.
But
or even
now if we're talking to parents right now,
well,
right?
100%.
Like, how do you get your 14-year-olds?
Yep. So if it was dad, it would have been something like, those words. So, mate, I love you just because you're my son, not because of anything you do on the rugby field or don't do, not based on mistakes or whatever. And then the backup of that experience.
Yeah. So actually, like he behaved in that way.
Yeah.
out of a love for my son.
Yep. And it's probably made me aware of also going, one day if my wife and I are lucky enough to have kids, if I'm parenting, it'll be I think what I'd like to do as a parent, and that based on what I've experienced, is to be like, oh, and where have I actually not shown you that? Where have I actually got it wrong with you? Where I've allowed some of my own hurt and my own brokenness to actually 100%. Hurt you or make you feel anxious or make you feel unloved. Yeah. And can I have an opportunity to apologize for that? And that's easy for me to sit here and say that's what and then it's hard.
No, but you're right, bro. Like you think of how many parents don't apologize.
Yeah. Because they think they have to be, it's like anything in leadership, they think they have to be, perfect.
Get it right.
They have to be the hero. They have to be all right, all knowing, all powerful, whatever, whatever you want to say. But it's actually, at least from my experience and from the outside looking in, it's easy for me to sit here now saying that when I'm not a parent, all the rest, I get that. But I think what I've gravitated towards, I can say it from a player's perspective, what I've gravitated towards as a player to coaches even has been coaches who are willing to be vulnerable. I actually got this wrong. I'm not afraid to say that, because I'm not here to try and paint myself as the all powerful, all better being than you guys, and that you're trying to aspire to become like me. I'm actually showing that I'm just the same as you, but a helpful hand to lead you in the right direction. And that part of helpful development in any form of life is to be able to actually be comfortable in your own skin with your own shortcomings, and be able to put your hand up and say, sometimes you do hurt people. Sometimes you get things wrong or whatever.
Sometimes you do hurt people.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do get things wrong. That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
I guess because the irony of that story is on the other side of experiencing all that brokenness is that it's led me to be a really broken human being that's no doubt hurt people, right? And
you'll hurt people, bro.
Correct.
And you don't even know.
No.
Because you're doing it out of a state of survival for yourself. Yep. We don't see what it's doing to others.
Yep.
Because you're like, well, all I see is my own pain.
Sure.
And when you're in pain, you look for how fast can I get a good feedback?
Yep.
How fast can I get told I'm doing well? 100%. Sweet, I'll just repeat.
Yeah. And you can speak if we set my wife here, she'd be like, oh, let me tell you.
Well, so next week.
She'd be like, hey, no, he's not wrong there. Like, he's hurt some people. So, and I'm not, it's actually the irony of that too, is like, because of what I've been through and because of the validation part, putting my hand up to actually admit my mistakes has been a real struggle. Especially when it was through my rugby career,
because admitting a mistake means I'm not going to get love.
Correct.
Right.
So it's been a real big journey of actually having to, renew my sense of validation and where it comes from, and see that in the correct light, at least from my viewpoint, and then go, well, if I actually truly believe this, it's going to allow me to actually engage with the things that I've got wrong in a much more secure manner, which is going to be means I'm going to be able to actually put my hand up and apologize. Now, I get this so wrong all the time. Don't get me wrong, but it's better than what it was. I guess. Hopefully, I hope my wife can say that at least. That is the hope, and I think, to be honest, at least it feels like it is, because I feel a lot more comfortable being like, I'm not even trying to be perfect anymore. So
good, bro. But that's how freeing is that.
Yes, unreal.
It is unreal, bro. Yeah. It is unreal, but at the same time, it makes you relevant.
Yep.
You now become relevant to the people that you're around.
Sure.
And I don't know. It opens up for others to now be vulnerable with you, share what's real.
Yep.
I mean, when leaders remain in the I'm right, they have no idea where their people are at.
No, they don't.
Okay, bro, back to your story.
Sorry.
So, but this is honestly, I'm like, there's so much gold in your story, bro. It's actually, yes, you can feel like you're a broken human being, but broken pieces put back together is of so much more value.
Sure.
Like, honestly, bro, like it's
Kintsugi vibes.
That's it, bro. That's it. That's what it is, bro. 100%. Like, it is, honestly, it's so much, because there's so many reasons in that. But, bro, back to your story. So 18, right? So you said, I went to go see someone around 21.
Yeah.
I know I need to go and talk to somebody about what's going on in my life. But 18, I hit this wall.
Yeah.
How did you cope with with darkness
and
pain internally till this point.
Yeah. Coping is the right word too. Like, wasn't being dealt with. Right? And I draw that distinction because there is a difference between coping, and they're both good. Like, you need to cope to be able to then deal with.
Yes.
You can't deal with things when you're so heightened and in your deepest, darkest places. You need to find coping mechanisms which are helpful, but it's only half the picture, coping. Well, at least from my...
No, I 100% agree with you. I'm like, there's, like, for example, the things that we do here in Eurofit are not for people that's not safe.
Yeah.
So if you're unsafe, there's some other tools that you need to get yourself
100%.
to safety.
And it's a good thing.
100%. It's like, it's part of the process.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
Once you're in safety.
So I was really lucky in my story. I had a family who really cares.
Yeah.
Including my dad.
Yeah.
At this stage, I haven't gone and confronted him, but the rugby thing and whatever was going on there was its own thing. And yes, it affected in other places. Yes, there were other moments that were outside rugby, but he loved me. Like that was true, and that has always been true. They noticed I was in a really dark hole, probably June 2011. And again, it was hard because things were going really well externally, so it wasn't. But they sat me down and said, "Oh, look, like, you're not the same at the moment. You're not a happy kid. Like, 19 or 18-year-old, whatever I was at the time. And we just want to ask why, like, what's going on." And so I guess I started opening up to them about what was going on internally, and where I was actually at, and how I was like, I'm kind of daydreaming at the moment of random events taking me out. I don't want to be around anymore. I hate life. I hate who I am. I hate myself, and I can't deal with my head and where things are at there. And so they, like, obviously incredibly worried, mum especially emotively, like I could tell. But they wanted to get support network around me as quick as possible. And so there were different avenues that came my way in regards to some ways to start talking about it, at least. And there were some really cool people involved at the church that had similar stories that were able to share with me and start to sit with me and just ask how I'm going and things like that. All real privately. Like, again, no one knew outside of those people. We were sort of invited into that discussion. And yeah, as I started to talk about it, firstly, it got a lot better just because it felt like I wasn't facing it by myself anymore. And because it felt like it wasn't something I was carrying by myself anymore, like the weight of carrying it just by itself, and the shame probably attached to, like, I'm a male playing rugby at the moment, trying to make it professionally, and here I am crying. One story was, I remember playing Burnside at Burnside Park and getting in the car straight after and just bawling my eyes out all the way home. And that game, I'd just been made captain for some unbeknown reason of the team, the Div 1 team. And I was young or whatever, so it felt like I shouldn't have been. But there I was, and it should have been the highlight of my year rugby-wise. And I got in the car and was like bawling my eyes out all the way home, like, I don't want to be alive anymore. Wow. This should be an amazing moment for me, and I can't escape my head.
Wow.
And I can't escape how much I hate myself and where I'm at, etc., etc., etc. And so that was before my parents had sort of confronted me, and once they had, it all of a sudden didn't feel like it was my own to carry, that the shame attached to it, like, oh, this is real, this happens to other people, this isn't you're not less than a man for going through this. You're actually experiencing something that sadly lots of people experience, and there is help out there, etc., etc. So that was the first part of what enabled me to cope. And it did it had some improvement without having it. I didn't grow in awareness, shall we say, of why. So for the next couple of years, I didn't necessarily have any self-awareness around what was actually going on to start to deal with it. The difference between coping and dealing, right? But I did have a support network around me that when it got tough, I knew where to turn and was happy to start to turn there, which was life-saving.
Yeah, bro.
Like, the only reason I didn't attempt to take my own life was because of my faith and because of my family. Like, my family was so around me, including my brothers and sister, and like a big, wide, extended family of cousins and aunties and uncles that are all really tight, that I was like, I can't do it to them. And also I didn't feel like my life was my own to take because of my faith. And so it was actually what held me on, I guess, through the toughest of times. But I got to 20, I think it was actually 2014 when I might have signed the contract at the end of 2014 to go overseas to England. And so immediately, including my support network, like my family saying, hey, you should actually start to go. And because it was still happening and I was still kind of up and down. You should, because you're going to go away. Like, it's a wee way away, 28 hours or whatever the flight was. You're going to want to have some understanding of what's actually going on here and some ways to deal with it when you are so far away. So I decided, okay, I'm actually going to go see a counsellor to begin the process of dealing with it if I can. And that's where it all sort of, I guess,
you began to dig, right?
Yeah, and so like things like when she told me I needed to do this, I was like, I'm not doing this. But she was like, you're going to sit yourself in front of a mirror and you're going to say something like, I'm a good person. And I was like, you'll never get that out of my mouth. I said that to her. I was like, that will never happen.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
And she was like, well, okay, let's pull it back. If we're not going to talk about something as grand as who you are as a whole person, but you've just signed a contract to go to England, say you're a good rugby player, start with that. I was like, you will not. She's like, why? I was like, you haven't seen the coaches that haven't picked me or the mistakes that I've made on the field that I shouldn't have made, moments that I missed where, like the Canterbury season where I was in the academy and I had an opportunity perhaps to push for something in Canterbury and I missed out because I had a really poor season and was playing really badly. Like, you haven't seen all those moments. Like, I'm not a good rugby player. I'm just scraping by. She's like, you've just signed a contract to a team where she's like, let's say generously the top 5% of rugby players sign a contract like that in the world. But she was like, I think she said something like 2% or 1%. She's like, you have to be able to say that you're at least a good rugby player, not comparatively, not better than anyone else, just good in and of yourself. And I was like, you'll never hear that. I'm sorry. And so she said, oh, well, don't you really see then that there's some issues here with reality as opposed to the way you view yourself? Like, reality is over here, the way you see yourselves over here, and there's a huge disconnect, and that disconnect probably is causing a lot of issues internally, mentally.
Good job, counselor.
I was like, I guess I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
And I want to argue with that, but I factually, I probably can't. And because of that, she's like, right, well, here's the homework, which is amazing because, over my course of the journey that I've been on, you meet counsellors that are hands off and like reflective.
Yeah.
And then I met a counsellor, luckily the first one, that was like, I'm giving you homework, you're going home, you're going to do stuff.
Do something about it.
You're going to actually, you're actually going to fight this head on. I was like, okay, so every time you brush your teeth, you'll be looking at yourself in the mirror. And I was like, well, yeah, I don't like looking at myself in the mirror. So my eyes were probably in different directions. She's like, first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at yourself in the eyes and you're going to say these things. Like you're going to start to talk about where your worth comes from. So you're going to say, oh, my worth doesn't come from my performance, from the mistakes that I've made. I'm loved just because of who I am. And I'm worthy of that love just because of who I am and of being. And I was like, well, what's that going to do, man? Like, come on now. It's so cheesy, whatever. But 9 months later, I was still doing it, going, oh, I for the first time can see how this might actually be true. That I might actually be a good rugby player. Not great, not better than anyone else that I'm not trying to compete, but I can actually see that I've worked hard and that I'm actually playing at a level that requires you to be good. And that's okay for me to think that. It's actually safe for me to think that. It's that's all that, and that's a good thing. But also, like, more than that, it's like I can actually see how I do actually deserve to be loved just because of who I am, and not feeling like I need to actually go out and constantly earn that, and that every day is a day where it's the writing's on the wall in either direction, in regards to if I have a good day, I'm loved, and if I don't, I'm not, or I'm not deserving of it, and I am if I'm good. And so the next part of that, she was like, well, let's go back to them where this all started and ask the questions of like, where do you first feel like this? Like, again, real similar to neurofit, like let's bring up the memories of where this felt true. It's like, well, let's go. I've shared some of the memories now. Like, I can tell you all of it. Like, let's go. Bang, bang, bang. And she's like,
now see that you can remember exactly.
Yeah. And so at the time, it was just all dad related, because it was the a lot of what she was talking about was around the perfection part of it. The self-hatred, the shame, externally from that was something that I hadn't given verbalization to, because again, it was interpreted as all my wrongdoing, etc. But I could start to see that the connection with what was going on here was related to what was happening here with Dad. So that's where we stayed. And she said, "Oh, I want you to call him and confront him." I was living in Bay of Plenty at the time, so I was in Tauranga. Dad's obviously down here in Christchurch, and I want you to call him and talk to him about it and confront him. Not because you want him to apologize, because you're not in control of that. Like,
no,
he might say it was all your fault and double down on all of it, and that's the risk that you're willing to take with this. But it's to put it in its rightful place, so that you can then go on and grieve. And what happened there is not what any human should actually experience in those moments, regardless of the reasons behind it. So I want you to go call him and confront him. And mate, it was the hardest thing.
I can just picture this.
It was the hardest thing ever, because it's like
conversation.
Because I feared Dad, and I wanted him to love me, and so I didn't want to ruffle that even more by being like, here's another reason to dislike me or to not love me by me confronting you and telling you got something wrong, but here I was on the phone and just bawled my eyes out, as you can imagine, like absolute wreck.
Wow.
And that's where he was like, "Jono, I'm so sorry."
Wow.
I'm so, like, for a large period of time in my life, and I've said this to him, he knows that, like, I was like, I want to be the opposite of my dad.
Wow.
Like, if I sitting here now, I'm like, I hope I'm half the man he is. Because in those, and for moments like this, and there's been quite a few that have gone on since then, but for moments like this where he was like, I'm so sorry. Wow. It's all right. And even if I don't necessarily remember some of what you've gone on, it's not because it didn't happen. It's just because it wasn't happening to me in the way it was happening to you in that moment. And I'm embarrassed. He used the word. He said, I'm embarrassed of the way I've treated you. And I'm so sorry. If you ever want to know what was going on for me, so that you can understand that I was never not proud of you or never didn't love you, I'd happily share that. But firstly, you know that I'm deeply sorry, and it was all wrong.
Wow.
I was like, whoa.
Bro, shout out to Jono's dad right now, bro. Because oh man, that's so many, and heck, clients tell me all the time, like, oh, I've talked to my mum, or I've talked to my dad about my experience. And the most common response is full denial from the parent.
Yeah, sure.
So to hear that,
it's unique,
bro. That's
and I mean it when I say I hope I can be like him one day, like, and that's a full circle for me in regards to where I was at. But we have a really good relationship now, and it's off the back of a moment like that, and so he sort of then went on to say the things that I think I've shared around, like, oh, this is what was going on with me and my dad, and him oversharing and speaking too much and not giving me the space, and that it wasn't always motivated out of I was ashamed of you, or was just so disappointed that I couldn't speak to you. I was actually trying to give you space to, like, to mentally work through the game and just have the space to actually deal with it yourself, rather than me imposing myself. And it's like, it's funny, because normally I think through a lot of my experience, what I've recognized is that we respond in real polarity. My brother quits rugby. When rugby's not the issue, Dad's the issue, quits rugby. I stay in it, but try and be perfect. When perfection's not the issue, Dad's the issue.
Bro.
But we respond in totally different, but actually from...
That's just, like, honestly, like, my wife and I are the same. Right. In this. We both have an issue with, we both had an issue with rejection and losing people. People leave us. So her solution is, well, I'm going to be lonely and not hang out with anyone, and social anxiety. And mine is, I'm going to be the party animal and make sure everyone's around me all the time.
People please,
do what I can. I'm like, I got to keep it because the hurt of rejections.
That's it. Isn't it? It's amazing how we respond,
bro.
And what I've found is, like, where's the middle ground? Where's the healthy middle ground? Like, where is the place in the middle where the response is to not go to the opposite end of the spectrum, but just to go back to center and go, it's actually Dad. So rugby is not the issue, so I can stay in rugby, but I don't also need to be perfect. And that whole process starts with grieving it, putting it in its rightful place, right? So part of why the counselor asked me to call Dad is, like, you need to finally, for the first time, say Dad was wrong, not you were wrong.
Yeah.
And then in doing so,
Bold step.
yeah, well, and there's lots of grief attached to that because you've got to go back to the memories, you've got to actually acknowledge it, then you've got to go and confront the person. And this is not a one size fits all sort of method of like for 100%. Some because I still had enough of a relationship with Dad. Still, like I said, I still knew he loved me, so there was still enough, a lot more than enough there to actually go back to him and have a conversation. But for the other part of my story perhaps is a way more measured way of going about this process because of is it actually safe? Is it appropriate? Is it, 100%. There's a lot more questions that need to be asked for other parts of the story.
Yeah, and you're right, because that she said it's the risk. There's a risk.
Yeah,
right? Because if Dad comes back and is like, nah, harden up.
Yeah, they can double down on the pain.
Bro, double down on the pain. Yeah. And so, yeah, I said preface that. If anyone's listening to this and be like, cool, I'm just going to make a list of all the people. I'm going to ring them.
Yeah.
It might not be
it's not.
Might not be the thing.
Yeah, that's right. And so the key to it is to go, am I in a place to actually hear the worst of what could happen? Yeah. And still know I've actually got it. I've actually been able to put it in its rightful place and go, wow. I actually don't need the response. All I need to do is
that's it. I don't need their response to heal me.
No, that I've got my own healing happening here. I'm just doing this so that I'm actually grieving it, putting it in its rightful place. Whatever comes back at me is whatever comes back at me. But I'm in control of the situation. That's not true for that. That's not true or appropriate for every situation, right? And ironically, there were similarities with some of the grieving and healing process through the sexual abuse stuff.
Yeah.
But not completely the same for those reasons. Imagine. And so I guess from those the moments of like the mirror, then the speaking to Dad, I started to recognize that there were some thought patterns that were taking place. I got my probably first introduction to neurogenesis and your brain actually being able to be rewired and change, and your thought patterns actually being something that's not you, but something that you can actually alter to your will, if that makes sense. And
even knowing that is freedom, bro.
Well, 100%.
That was the pinnacle point for me when both Hannah and I were in depression, and I was like, "Woe is me." I played the victim because I didn't know what else to do. My affirmations weren't working anymore.
Sure.
Right. But then even just listen, like gaining understanding that my brain's not fixed this way. I can change it today was all I needed.
Yeah.
Like that was the catalyst for like, cool, I'm going to go and do it then. I'm going to go build it.
100%.
And yeah, bro.
And that's the difference, like I probably said at the start, of the coping to the dealing with, right? Of going, coping helps me get to a place where I'm ready to start the neurogenesis, the whatever you want to term it, the actual rewiring of the brain.
Neuroplasticity.
Correct. Yeah, that's far better way of putting it. That's why you're there.
Neurogenesis is a different. Bro, you can go neurogenesis. Aussies been learning about that.
But that's it.
Hey, that neurogenesis is what gives a person hope. Because the study of neurogenesis is that every morning when you wake up, there are brand new nerve cells born in your brain. That's like the genesis part.
Ready to go.
And they're not attached to anything of the past.
Yep.
And like that should give everyone hope. They're like, I've been through crap, yes. But today's a new day. And I've got new neurons ready to do something new with. And if I don't use them, then it creates toxic gas in your brain that die off.
Sure.
Or I ruminate on them and build what has been. And that's not ideal, but it's like every day you get a new start. Which is just, that's just gangster.
Yeah.
That's in my head. I'm like,
unreal.
Nerding about it.
Well, it's hopeful, right? Like
100%.
Yeah. And in essence, telling my story, I guess the first decision to do so was to try and breed a bit of hope of like, hey, like my journey has gone like this. Like, but if you look at this, like it's not linear. It's not. And like the mirror stuff didn't just go smoothly from the get-go. Like I gave up a couple of times. I felt like it wasn't working for probably 3 or 4 months at least, and thought whatever, but then was like, what else have I got?
100%.
So I might as well just keep trying and see what happens. But if I stood back and looked over 5 years and now looking over 10 years, here to here is where I am, but it went like this. And I'm just thankful that I had enough people around me to support me in the times that were like feeling like this, going back to square one, where it was like, you're not. You just got to keep going, and you got to keep pushing through it. And that's the hard part of it. Is like scientifically, neurogenesis. It sounds awesome and stuff like it takes work, and probably the bigger part of it is that it actually takes ownership.
Yeah.
And so
and that's the hardest part, to take ownership of what's in your brain. Is like, I don't want to take full ownership of that.
That's that's probably the hardest part of the battle. So like, I come home pretty soon after I speak about for the first time what happened sexually, like the sexual abuse stuff. So what had happened, my bro rings me, my older brother, and goes, this happened to me. I've just shared that with the family. Just wondering if anything like that ever happened with you. And I was like,
oh snap,
bang, like here it is.
Here come the floodgates, bro.
That's it. I think 3 months later was my off season. I was in the UK at the time, so I fly home to, I guess, start to deal with it. Process. And again, it's like, well, got to grieve it. So if I'm going to get through this, I got to grieve what's taken place. I've got to acknowledge that actually all the things that I said were my fault, my issue, and not my issue. They're actually placed on someone else's hands, not as a point of judgment, but as a point of putting it in its rightful place. And then there's some process that I'm going to have to go through to start the journey of healing from it. Now, it looked like what it looked like or whatever, but the hard part of it is to go, all of the things that I'm thinking now attached to that. So let's use both parts of the story as an example. Like anything that I'm walking with from the moment those actual instances finish in terms of thought processes are actually my mine to take ownership for. Like no one else is forcing me anymore to think that about myself. Now, it's not my fault. I'm not saying what happened to me was my fault. It wasn't. I'm not saying that we actually put the fault on ourselves or anything like that. But after those moments, if I'm 28 and these things happen at 13, I've allowed 15 years of rewiring to take place where I've agreed with things that aren't true, that have started to really cause me damage and harm.
I want to do a whole podcast just on that, bro. like things happen. Now we have agreed with some stuff that is simply just so far from the truth.
Not my fault.
No.
Like, I want to say that again. I'm 13. I have no, at the time, 14, whatever age I was, I have no, perhaps at the time, no consciousness to be able, consciousness to be able to put words to what was going on, to then rewire my brain. So I'm not saying I should have done it then. We've spoken about perhaps what someone could have said in that moment to alleviate that from me without me realizing it, i.e. dad coming in and saying, I love you, and then experiencing that and then the apologies for what was taking place at the time or whatever else. But you
still had to take ownership of
I have to take responsibility. Like, I'm sitting here now at 20, whatever the age I was when I started talking about, I think I said 25, I think that's right. And I'm sitting there going, I want to throw all the blame and all of the anger,
and we can justify it
100%. And there is justification, and that is wrong, and it should never have happened, and it's horrible and ugly, and it's not my fault. But none of those thoughts there are ever going to heal what I'm still walking with, right? Like I can throw as much as I want in that direction, but it's not going to. It's not going to get that person to come and heal me. Nor is it appropriate. And it's I can turn to someone else and say, this is what's going on in my head. Can you just take it away? And they'll be like, no, I can't, because it's yours to deal with. It's mine to take ownership for. And that's brutal, because it's like, because then the next part of the grieving process is like, well, I didn't ask for this. Right. Like I didn't.
Why does it have to be my life? Damn it.
100%. Like I didn't pursue this. I never wished this on myself. It's like, well, of course you didn't. Like, no, and no one ever does. But again, it's here, and it's at your doorstep. That's it. It's in your house, and you're the only one that can actually be the caretaker here and actually get rid of it. Like, you're the only one that can clear it. And therefore, if anything is going to happen, it's going to be off the decision of yourself to actually go and take ownership for this and do something about it. And the doing something about it is not to remain in the victimhood of it, which it's healthy to do that as a grieving process, to be like, I was a victim and it was wrong, like I've already said, but to go then, now that I've actually seen that for what it is, and I have experienced what it allowed myself to be the victim if I didn't 10 years ago or however long ago it was. What's the next part of this process though to actually come out of it, so that I'm no longer suffering from it as if it happened yesterday when it happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Facts.
It's now for me to go and figure out the ways to move forward and not just to look back.
Oh man, bro, there's just so much we've talked about, and there's so much I want to talk about. I will have to get you for another one, bro.
It's all good.
100%, because this is honestly, this is out the gate, and we haven't even touched like footy finishes, more life happens.
Yep.
We haven't even touched that, so I want to get you back for that part of life, because there's a lot more on that side, right? But we're out of time today. But
easy,
bro. Thank you so much.
No, all good.
One, for your boldness to be honest, vulnerable, and to just like, ups to you, bro.
Oh, appreciate it, man.
For owning it.
Yeah.
And like, this is mine to own, and I'm not gonna let someone else derail and take my life anymore. I'm gonna take it. Wow. And it takes a lot of balls. It takes a lot of courage. It also you got to stare pain in the face in that. So I commend you on that, bro.
I appreciate it.
You're the man.
It wasn't perfect.
Oh,
you know, like and that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
As we've said,
okay, bro.
There's been there's been plenty of moments of getting it wrong, and whatever that means. I like hurting people, or just getting it wrong in the sense of wanting to give up, or all the rest of it, or playing the blame game when I shouldn't have, or when I was past that, whatever that means again. But I'm thankful that I've had a support network around me, which we spoke about at the start of the journey, that enabled me to have the ability to actually then go and do the work.
Yeah, bro.
And to feel supported underneath it when it was all feeling like it was too much, like to walk towards the pain. Or the big part of the journey is to walk towards the forgiveness, actually, as well, of dad and the person that did what they did. It's like, it would be a lot easier to have just got to that point and then not done that too. But even dad, ironically, part of the process of going like, hey, one day you're going to need to forgive this person, and being like, whoa, like, hey,
whoa,
hey, what are you talking about?
You don't tell me what to do there.
And he said, right now that's going to sound ridiculous.
But he was right.
But he said, from his story, because it has been what's turned his life around, it's actually going to be part of your journey if you were to see healing and wholeness again from what you've been through.
But that was it. Is that the goal was healing?
That's right.
Right? The goal wasn't safety.
No.
Safety is like, cool, I'm going to be in my little bubble and never think about it and move countries and just...
Sure.
Like, that's safety. But like healing?
Yeah.
Because then comes freedom.
Yep.
Right? But in order to get the freedom to live, you got to heal
100%.
from the pain. And forgiveness, bro. Of at that level.
Yep.
Where no one can justify.
Yep.
Out the gate.
Yeah. And so, the incredibly hard moments, but having people like dad, brothers, etc., mum, or the rest of the family in general, friends, really good friends as well, that have supported me through it. It's been really, it's been made possible, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm a big advocate in sharing it. Of make sure you find people you can trust that are willing. And if you can't find people in your own support network in terms of your own family or your own friendship group, then there are other ways to go about, like counseling and all the rest of it. Obviously, we can supplement that if you want in order to give you something to be able to encourage you forward and support you through the times of where it's up then down and feels like it's going sideways or even backwards, and to enable you to actually go on what is a journey, like a long journey. I'm still on it. I'm not even remotely arrived, obviously, and still plenty to work through. But again, where I was to where I am now is chalk and cheese, right?
But I reckon, I personally, I think last year that became my new measurement of success, is how far am I away from where I started.
Right. That's
not,
cool way
not where I need to get to.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm nowhere near where I started. Therefore, I'm doing well.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Because it's very easy to remain.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing I love about you, bro, is that you don't settle.
Right.
You're like, nah, there's more. I know there's more in my life, and I know there's more to discover about myself. There's more freedom to discover. There's more healing to do. And you're like, wow, I'm going to do that. So you're the man, bro.
I appreciate it. Likewise,
honestly, hey, yeah, thanks so much for jumping on, bro. And yeah, next time it will be a part 2 with Jono for sure.
Oh dear.
But let's go, bro. But nah, legend.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey.
It's been awesome. Shut up with that.
Let's go.